Hello. So, I have been thinking a lot lately about stubbornness, and in particular, why we sometimes insist on doing things without help. And if you're like me, I insist on doing things all the time without help. I know it's not my best quality, but I'm working through it. But it's been on my mind because my grandmother has fallen quite a few times in the last year, breaking bones and dislocating joints and landing her in the hospital for surgery, going to rehab, and finally making it back home for a few weeks or a few months before it all happens again. And every time I get the call that she's in the hospital, I know that it's because she wasn't following her doctor's orders of getting help when she needed it. Her most recent fall was a result of changing her clothes by herself and missing the chair when she went to sit back down. Now, had she requested the help as her doctors instructed, it would have gone much more smoothly, but that's besides the point. When I sat with her at the rehab center on Wednesday, we were talking about this. You know, that there's no shame in getting help, especially when it leads to a happier and healthier life. And she responded probably, frankly, the same way that I would have if the tables were turned. She said, Brittany, I was just raised to be so independent. And so it's hard to get help after so many years of being that independent. And I totally agree. I don't doubt that it's not only difficult, but that there's probably a level of shame or even self-doubt too associated with it. But I continue to think on it because while asking for help can become a necessity as we age, and of course it's more obvious when we don't ask for help when we get older, the reality is that it's something many of us resist most of our lives, especially our adult lives. So I couldn't shake it. There had to be something more to it. And so I thought back to my early years of school when we were in the learning phase of a unit. During that time, we were often encouraged to work with a neighbor or in a small group to ask questions, make mistakes, problem solve, all the things that, we're seeking help to understand concepts ourselves, but also to help other people understand concepts if it was something that we knew well. But when it came to test time, when our understanding really mattered, we often had cardboard dividers on each of our desks to prevent us from getting help. Getting help was considered cheating, which came with heavy consequences. I've even had teachers who refused to answer questions during tests because, quote, we should have studied better. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not advocating that we encourage cheating on tests, but rather that we consider the impact of the underlying message and other ways that we can send different messages. The underlying message of when the stakes are low, work with others, get help from others, give help to others. But when it really matters, when it really counts towards something important, you must do it alone. So it's no wonder we grow into adulthood with a resistance towards help. It has literally been ingrained in us since we were children. So what do we do with this Friday food for thought? I want you to consider just one area of your life in which you're feeling overwhelmed right now, today. What aspect of it is the most overwhelming? Who is one person that can help lighten the load? Not that you can offload the whole thing, but just to help you lighten the load. What specifically can that one person do? Now, go ask them for that help. You all have an awesome weekend. Mwah.